We are going to talk about chemical weed control. We want to discuss the issues related to this technology. We know there are some farmers, especially smallholder farmers, who have not embraced this technology. So we may want to know some of the reasons associated with why farmers are not adapting this seemingly good technology. So we're going to make a presentation about chemical weed control. So this is introduction to chemical weed control. So let us try to find out what is an herbicide. It is a chemical used to control weeds. We have got selective herbicide. This one can kill weeds, leaving the crop unharmed. For example, atrazine in maize. We also have non-selective herbicides. These can kill all plants they come into contact with. For example, glyphosate. Herbicides are packaged in containers, and on the containers, usually there are instructions on how to use them. Worldwide, we may find that herbicide technology has been fully embraced in developed countries. In the US, Europe, China, some parts of South America, Australia, also in India, it's quite being used. Northern part of Africa. But in some African countries, farmers still rely on hand hoeing and mechanical methods. Let us look briefly at the history of herbicide technology. In 1896, copper sulfate was used for the broadleaf weed control in cereals. Then in 1912, there was use of sulfuric acid, but the real herbicides, as we know them, were developed around 1944, where we had 2,4-D being widely used as a herbicide. This was used to kill broad-leaved weeds in wheat. In the 1950s, there was the introduction of triazine and herbicides, atrazine. 2,4-D was also introduced in Zimbabwe. In 1965, the weed research team at Henderson Research Station was established to do research on weed technology improvement. In 1974, glyphosate was introduced as a non-selective herbicide. This is spraying pre-emergence herbicides using a knapsack sprayer. You can see the herbicide is sprayed when there are no weeds directly to the soil surface. Again, spraying pre-emergence herbicides, which are targeted directly to the soil surface. What are the advantages of herbicide technology? They can eliminate early crop weed competition, leading to higher yields. They can reduce the time spent in weeding, so labor is released to do other jobs. It removes labor bottlenecks around November to January. This could also increase the area planted. It can be used under wet conditions where mechanical control methods are difficult to carry out. It is now possible to do reduced tillage, conservation farming, or pfumbudza, which can increase crop yields through timely planting, because you can use the herbicides to control the weeds. There's also improvement of quality of life in smallholder farming areas. For example, women spend 75% of the time whole weeding in the peak weeding period from December to January. So these can be released from this type of work. Herbicides can effectively deal with difficult to control weeds, things like Sanodon, Dactylon, and the Cyperus esculentus. There are also disadvantages of herbicide technology. Number one, these are very toxic substances. When we define toxicity, we use LD50, which is the amount of poison which kills half the organisms in a randomly chosen batch of named species. For example, rats, this is measured in milligram poison per kg body weight. For example, we've got paraquat, which is 100 milligrams per kg body weight. This is the most toxic herbicide. On the other hand, glyphosate could be less toxic, but this is debatable. So on herbicide labels, for example, this one, you get for acetaclo 900 EC, it can be written, you can have a triangle which is orange, signifying the level of toxicity. Another disadvantage is that we have herbicide residues remaining in the soil, which may end up in drinking water. We may also have problems in transporting large quantities of water during spraying. Clean water may also not be available. So we want to look at why herbicides are not used widely by smallholder farmers in Zimbabwe. In 1984, Chivinge reported that about 1.5% of the farmers used the herbicides. This is a very small percentage. We do not know whether this has actually changed. Probably it may have changed, but we still think that the percentage of farmers using herbicides is still low. So what could be the reasons? Probably it could be the information gap. There could be lack of awareness. About 99% of the farmers were not aware of herbicide technology, as was reported in 1984, but probably the situation could have changed now. There were few extension staff carrying out herbicide demonstrations. The other issue is something to do with this sprayer calibration, which is quite challenging. It involves a lot of volume measurements and doing calculations. Making mistakes could be costly. Okay, sorry for the disturbance. I was about to say that the instructions are in English. So most of the farmers may not be in a position to, they may not understand some of the instructions. Probably there's a need to change the language or to put local languages on the containers. The other problem is cash. Or capital. There's limited cash to purchase inputs at the right time. Farmers who sell their maize to grain marketing board are sometimes not paid in cash. Sometimes farmers grow crops at a loss, for example, cotton and tobacco. So because of lack of available cash, farmers may fail to purchase the herbicides. There are also no credit facilities. Yeah. So there are also no credit facilities. Banks are not financing cropping budgets. So there's lack of, I think it is due to lack of collateral or immovable property. Banks are not using land as collateral. Probably this could have changed now because some banks are now trying to give farmers some capital to purchase inputs. Low rainfall, climate change. Some farmers may consider herbicide technology to be risky because of frequent droughts and unreliable rainfall, leading to frequent crop failures. If there's a likelihood of droughts, use of herbicides, may be costly because the crop is not going to pay for those costs. There's also poor infrastructure and support systems. There are no regular and reliable supply of agricultural inputs, especially in rural areas or communal areas. Sprayers, insecticides can be found in some local shops, with the exception of herbicides. Packaging, this can be an issue because you may find large containers Sometimes herbicides are sold in big packs of 5 liters. It could be a big, pack. Yet farmers may just need about 3 liters, per farmer. Some are even packed in 20 liters. So farmers may avoid, buying them because it can be costly. This is showing herbicide packaging. You may have 5-liter container, 1-liter container packs. Here, I just want to report some issues which came out of a survey which was conducted by Makanganise et al. In 1999, covering Chiota, Narira, and Chorocho. This survey wanted to determine why farmers had not embraced the herbicide technology in these 3 communal area farms. Some of the issues which came out clearly were the time of herbicide application. Farmers were not very sure when these herbicides should be applied. Also, the use of herbicides under dry planting. Farmers were not sure whether they could use the herbicide or not. Now, in the case where there have been probably poor germination, is it possible to repeat use of herbicides in the same season and between seasons in the same field? So these were some of the issues. This is actually linked to herbicide residues. They were also not sure about the amount of herbicide to be applied per hectare. How exactly you would measure this herbicide residual effects were some of the issues, which is also related to repeated use of herbicides. The issue of using herbicides in intercropping systems and crop rotations. There were issues to do with toxicity versus efficacy. Some farmers thought the most toxic herbicides were also the most efficacious herbicides. Now, the possibility of replanting fields where herbicides have been used in case of poor germination was also an issue. Let's say you have applied your herbicide, then there's poor germination. Can you replant? And also the range of herbicide formulation, liquids versus granular formulations. Managerial issues. It appears the farmers were not receiving the right messages concerning herbicide usage. They were also not comfortable with some of the language on the labels, the technical language. Probably local languages should be used. Then availability of herbicides. The herbicides are not available in local shops. Then there was the issue of cost of herbicide versus the traditional weed control methods. Some farmers thought maybe herbicides were costly, especially when they go to purchase them. But hiring labor could also be more costly compared to herbicide technology. The cost of knapsack sprayers were also an issue. Other issues were environmental issues. For example, contamination of food by herbicides, effect on animals which eat stover from maize treated with herbicides. Farmers wanted to know exactly the issues, whether there was enough information available concerning some of these some of these problems, especially contamination, and whether the animals were not likely to be poisoned by the herbicides. So some farmers may not be comfortable using these pesticides because of very genuine reasons. So this is it. I will stop here. So we have been just talking about the issues related to herbicide technology. You can see it's not very simple. It may be a difficult area. Pesticides generally could be the last resort. Probably if there are other methods which may allow us to reduce herbicide use or pesticide use. If you are concerned about the environmental issues and other issues related to pesticide poisoning, maybe we need alternative methods. Thank you.